participants here, but I want to kind of make sure, see, first of all, who we have. So I'm going to kind of, at this point, we're going to call our meeting for Recreation Department for January 5th to order. I'd like to do a roll call just to make sure we have everybody documented. So I am here, Kurt Williams. Those who are on, could you please just mention your name so we have a roll call, please? Joe, can you start off?
Joe Lefkowski.
Thank you.
Kim Huber.
I'm on Tanya Arsucci.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Tanya.
And Kim.
Tanya, okay.
Did you get Kim?
Kim, thank you.
Hi, Shane Deschamps.
Who's that, Brian?
No, Shane. He's new. He was appointed, I believe, 2 days ago.
Okay, well, welcome. I didn't get notification, so sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, Shane, what's your last name?
Deschamps.
Okay. Who else is on the call tonight?
Jonathan Moore, liaison.
Jonathan, thank you.
Hi, Kurt. Brian Sunday here.
Hi, Brian. How are you? Good to see you.
Hey.
Welcome to the
Good to see
board.
you. Thank you.
Okay. Who else?
Diane,
Hi, Diane. Happy New Year.
thank you. Same to you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Jamie just texted me. She said she's dropping her son off. She'll be home soon to log in.
Okay, very good. So Jamie's a TBD soon here. Anyone else?
Tim McGrain.
Hey, Tim, how are you? Happy New Year.
Yeah, let's go. You too.
Any other members that haven't called in yet?
I see Brian's on, but there's no audio.
Okay, well, I know Brian normally has some technical difficulties when it comes to these things, but we'll move forward. So at this point, we've got myself, we've got Joe, Tanya, we've got Kim, we've got Shane, we've got Jonathan, we've got Brian, we've got Diane, we've got Tim McGrain, and then Jamie is hopefully forthcoming. I believe that we have Brian is trying to get into us at this point in time. Any other board members?
Kim. You got Kim Huber?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I skipped over Kim. Kim, my apologies. Okay, so with that said, I wanted to complete the roll call, which we have. I want to once again, hopefully everyone had a good, happy holiday and a prosperous new year so far, 4 or 5 days into it. Unfortunately, I felt it was best last week to put the Zoom meeting together. I would most definitely like to meet in person. I think it's the best way to manage, but at least for this month, I would propose to do a Zoom meeting. And then we will probably look later in the month in January and see what's appropriate with all board members for the February meeting.
As of right now, Kurt, Town Hall does close to the public starting tomorrow. It's by appointment only. And the preferred method will be Zoom until further notice.
Further notice. Okay, well, that's good. Thanks for sending that out and communicating that, Tanya. Good. Okay. So with that, actually, we have two new board members to do some introductions with. Brian, could you introduce yourself to the board members? Tell us a little bit about yourself. And then after that, we will ask Shane to do the following. So Brian, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Brian Sunday. I live on Spencer Hill Road. My wife and I have a child in Winchester schools, a 5th grader. We're involved in youth sports. I'm heavily involved in soccer in particular, but I also help coach basketball and just wanted to get involved a little more around town. I knew this board had some openings for a while, so I thought I'd try to help out.
Okay.
And I work in communications in my real life when I'm not.
Okay, well, welcome to the board. We appreciate all the help we can get. Once again, you'll kind of get the feel, we're somewhat informal most of the time. But once again, more the merrier. We always, many of activities going on, and we're always looking to get some younger members involved accordingly. So appreciate that. I see that Jamie, you just signed in.
She did. She's just on mute.
Yeah, I just
Okay,
logged
good.
in.
All right,
I'm
good.
here.
So thanks, Jamie. Jamie, we're just down to Brian just giving us a quick overview of himself and why joining the board. So at this point, Shane, unfortunately, I wasn't aware that we had an additional member assigned to the board, but could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Shane Deschamps.
Hold on 1 second.
My wife and I had just purchased a house up on Gilbert Ave. I've lived in town for 7-8 years now. But now that we actually bought property in town, we wanted to kind of get involved and help continue Winstead's move forward.
Well, thank you. I think that's very admirable. Once again, is the best way to get involved in the community, see what's going on, get to know a few other people than maybe out of your normal circle of friends. So once again, welcome. Unfortunately, Brian, Shane, not knowing that you were board member, there was some literature that I had sent out yesterday that you probably aren't privy to, having at this point. So just bear with us as we kind of go through some of this stuff. Okay. And I will, would like to get your email address at some point to make sure that I get the information out accordingly in the next couple of days. Okay.
Yeah. Jamie did send me the agenda, so I have at least the agenda up on the side to kind of see what's going on.
If anyone wants to take a moment, if they could, if they want to send Shane the other information that I sent out in the email the other day, that would be much appreciated. If anyone could do that for us, thank you. I see your email address there. Thank you. Okay. So with that said, just to continue along, we'd like to, those of you should have received a copy of the December meeting minutes, our meeting minutes of 12/1. I would ask everyone take a moment or two to review those meeting minutes. And then I will entertain a motion for acceptance or changes to the meeting minutes as presented. I would want to remind everybody, those who were not in attendance in the December meeting, you are going to need to go ahead and abstain from the voting at this point in time once the motion is carried. So I'll give everyone a couple minutes to take a look at the meeting minutes and then plan to take motion for acceptance.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay, there was a motion from who? Sorry.
Diane.
Diane, thank you. Any
Kim will second.
changes anybody have, or additions, deletions from the meeting minutes for the 12/1? Okay, we have a motion for acceptance as meetings minutes at this point in time as they're presented. All those in favor, can we just do a quick roll call for Jamie's sake? So I vote in acceptance of that meeting minutes. Joe, how do you go?
Joe, yes.
Okay, Kim?
Agree.
Okay. Shane and Jonathan, you're going to, and Brian, you're going to abstain. Diane was good. Tim McGrain, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Jamie, how are you?
I'm good.
Meeting minutes? There you
Yep.
are. You're good. And then
I'm good.
did Brian finally hook in? Yes or no? Anybody?
I just see a square here, but I don't see see him at all.
Okay.
It says his name.
So we have basically myself, Joe, Kim, Diane and Tim in favor, and then basically we'll have two abstentions, which will be Shane and Brian at this point. Okay, good. Thank you. Unless I missed anybody.
I'm new to this, so do selectmen always just abstain?
Yeah, I figured that much, Jonathan. Thank you. We're not common to have selectmen in our meetings, but you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Kurt, he asked if he abstains from all the votes.
Yeah, correct. I heard that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good. Thank you, Diane. Okay, so with that, we would like to move on to item 4, which is agenda review as presented. Does anyone want to add anything to the agenda for tonight's meeting? Okay, hearing none, there will be no changes to the agenda as presented. Is there anyone on the call in public that would like to talk about anything under public comment? Okay, hearing none, I will ask if any of the board members or Jonathan, if you would like to take the opportunity to talk under public comment, now's the time. Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on from item 5, public comment. We're going to move into the chairman's report. Even though it was December, things were pretty busy. So I've got quite a few things to chat about, make sure that the board is aware of a number of things. So just bear with me. I've got about 10 items I kind of want to go over at this point. First and foremost, I really want to comment on this year's East End Park display and all those involved in putting the lights up. I know we contracted some things out. I really thought the park looked very well displayed this season. And while we're on the topic, I really would want to understand and throw out, what do we need to do to be ready for maybe some additions for next year? That, now's the time to, while we're still thinking about it and buying or whatever, purchasing, if we need things, this could be a good time to really be prepared rather than, wait to the November time and then get in line with everybody else. So I'm just throwing that out for any general conversation. Any board members have any comments on that?
Hey, Kim, do you want to tell us the good news?
Yes, we have secured a donation for a 5-foot spruce tree that will arrive in the spring to be planted at the town green, fully donated.
Well, thank you very much, Kim, for sharing that information. I think that was definitely one of the things that we've talked about a couple meetings past of, once again, the current tree that we have, which was donated a number of years ago, does have some health issues. And so hopefully this new tree planted in the spring will, enhance the park and then also enhance our holiday displays. So
yeah, we're told it's going to be fast
yeah, I think
growing
everything
and full.
looked very well, organized and presented well in the park, going by every night on the way home from work. So that was the first item I wanted to chat about. Anything else from anybody?
Joe has a question, Kurt.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Kurt, it's Joe. Will the existing tree there be taken down and this planted in its place or nearby?
Yes.
Good question, Joe. I don't know. Any commentary from anybody?
Yeah, that would be the plan, to take down the old tree that's not looking too nice and replace it.
And one other question. I noticed as time went on, some of the lights that were wrapped around poles weren't working or weren't on.
They're LED, so they probably weren't getting enough sunlight at that given time.
Yeah, I noticed that too with the solar lights, because I have them here and they don't light up as bright, so they're hard to see. A couple times I've noticed that.
Yeah, some nights were better than others, but I mean, we don't really have many options because there's no plugs.
There are no plugs in those poles. It looks like there's an outlet cover way up top. Really? There's no plugs in those poles?
I don't believe there are. Or they're not working still.
I'll look. It looks to me driving by way up high that there's an outlet cover, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just for show. I'm not sure.
Not sure. I know they
I'll
they
take
have
a
the
look,
brackets up there. But I'm not sure if
I'll do
there's.
an inspection in the park and take a look at that a little bit more
Yeah, I could
detailed.
ask
But
Derek Sheeby to take a look too. He's gonna take everything down Thursday.
yeah, ask him to see if there are actually physical
Yeah, I'll ask
outlets
him. I'll shoot
up
him a
and if
text in the
they're
morning.
active.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead.
quick question. So is there a strategy with the new tree and the person or people who donated it? So in other words, if we're getting the new tree in April, is it worth us making some type of announcement, trying to have, like, I know this sounds silly, but as a way to shine some extra light on the recreation department and perhaps the person who donated the tree, if they want to have some type of ceremonial planting, with a look forward to next winter to say, hey, perhaps our celebration will be better than last year. But, just to have an event to plant the tree could be cool. Invite a couple town officials. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Or is that overkill?
No, I like the idea.
Like, so who donated the tree, and would that person be willing to come forward and say, hey, I'm Steve, I donated the tree. We could, get the news out there and have a ceremonial planting.
I would have to check with them, and I don't want to release the name until I do check with them.
Maybe
But
even if they
I
wanted
will ask.
a little like plaque, like donated by whatever the year or something.
I would highly doubt that, but I will find out, but and I'll let you know.
And with that said, that isn't integral to that effort. If they want to be anonymous, that's fine too. But it could be an opportunity for us to highlight the fact that we've got this new tree, generous person. We talk about what we did in this and at the last celebration, and look forward to next year. We've got a new tree, just to make an announcement. It could be a good photo op or something like that. So,
it's a great idea.
Good comment there, Brian. So I think at a minimum, Kim, I think the board, we would draft a letter at a minimum of appreciation to this individual. Regardless, we don't have to put a name to it, but I think we will, between Tanya and myself, we'll draft a letter out at least to present that. You can present that to that individual if they want to be anonymous. That's fine, but I think at a minimum we should provide that person with some type of a letter of gratitude for their donation. You think that will be acceptable, Kim?
Yeah, and I will, like I said, I will check to see if they would be willing to be publicized, but I think definitely a letter of gratitude at minimum, but I'll find out and I'll get an answer for the next meeting.
Good. All right. Thanks. Okay. So moving away on the display at the East End Park. Next item I want to mention, and Tanya, I think we're going to need to have support from you or I'm assuming Terry or Pam. We need to update our website to make sure that the new board members' names are in place. Once again, I know we got to get Tim on there. We got to get Brian on there. And we've got to get Shane on there now. So is that something that
I
we
can
can
talk to Terry
assign to
tomorrow.
you? Or do you want me to send a note to Terry? I don't know who does that.
No, I'll talk to Terry tomorrow.
Okay.
Take care of
if
that.
we can get the updated, and once again, for those members, if you go to the town website, boards, basically there's a website for Recreation Board, and basically it's a listing of the board members and name only at this point in time. So if you could take care of that, Tanya, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Tanya, if you just send it to me, this is Pam. I'll get it.
Oh, you are Pam. You are on. Okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
I'm here. So if you need anything shared, just let me know.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure who the website master is for the town. Okay.
All right,
Thank
Pam.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next item, and once again, I'm going to kind of direct this to Tanya. Do we, since it's the beginning of the new year, do we have any member board renewals that are going to be coming up in 2022?
I will have to look at my sheet. It's on my board at the office.
Okay.
I don't know offhand.
Yeah, I don't seem to, I was trying to look for one. If you do have one, if you could provide that to me at least, I would like to have a copy of that, just so that I don't have to keep bothering you.
Yeah, no problem. Yep. I'll
okay.
update that tomorrow and add the new people. So that way we know when they will expire as well.
Right. And then once again, for any new board members, if your term is up, in the year, we normally like to get, there's a very short form that is filled out and then submitted back through the town manager to the selectmen for reappointment. So that's kind of what we're talking about at this point in time.
Kurt, how long does your term last for before you have
I believe the term is 6 years, I believe.
Okay.
Yes, but
I'm
it
not
all
100%
depends,
sure,
Tim.
but I think it's 6 years.
But it
Yeah,
all
what do you
depends,
think?
Kurt, because you can be placed into someone
If
that
you're
was
replacing, yeah.
midstream. So you can
If
take
you're
someone
replacing
that could
somebody, you have to get
potentially be
reappointed.
over
Yeah,
next year.
Yeah. Right. That's
So it
true.
all
I was
depends
going
on
to
whose
mention that.
spot you're filling.
Okay.
Right. But I believe it's 6 years. Normal term is 6 years, I believe, Tim.
Okay. Cool.
Been
Thank
a
you.
while, so. Okay. Okay, so we talked about any terms coming up. So next item I want to talk about, I did just, and once again, this is for new board members also. I did send out an email. I have a tracking sheet that I kind of fill out on a monthly basis. And I sent it out. You probably can't see it here, but this kind of shows our attendance tracking. I'm asking all board members, I did update this the other day for the entire year. I think I was just waiting for some information for November and December. I would ask you to take a look at it, make sure it's accurate to ensure that you were in attendance in the meeting or you weren't attended, or if there's any discrepancies. I have created a new one for this year moving forward, which will look exactly like this sheet that I sent out. But once again, not keeping the old members that have resigned or moved on this year's sheet, which we had a number of people who resigned last year on the board. So that tracking sheet is, once again, I would ask folks to look at that and make sure it's accurate. Okay. Next item I'd like to chat about is as a takeaway from last month's meeting, I did draft a letter out to the for the youth soccer and baseball, softball board in regard to the challenge grant and matching contributions. I know Tanya will talk a little bit about this under item 7 right after this report, but that did go out to both groups. So there's one item which I did accomplish last month. All righty. Next item I just want to chat a bit about was everyone saw or should have an electronic copy. One of the items, takeaway items from, I believe, either a November or December meeting is draft a letter out to basically the ex officiato members of the Board of Recreation, which basically is our selectman liaison, the headmaster or principal of the Gilbert School, and the superintendent of the school. I have drafted that letter out. I haven't sent it out yet. I wanted to have any board input on how it's presented before I do send it out. So I'm not sure if everyone's had an opportunity to look at that yet or not. I'm open for any changes, modifications. And once again, this is targeting for that group of 3 people to join us at a board meeting at our April 6th meeting. And once again, this is to truly understand, and have a good dialogue on what the Board of Recreation activities are going on, what's going on up at the Gilbert School for their activities for our youth, what's going on in the Winston Public Schools, and basically try to understand if there are any major gaps in, what's going on. So has anyone had an opportunity to look at what I drafted out, or I'll receive any feedback? I take it well.
Kurt, I'm sorry, it's Joe. I didn't recall receiving a copy of your email with the letter.
Did I not send it out to you, Joe? I'm surprised that I didn't.
Well, all I
It
can
went,
tell
it
you
went
is,
with basically, did you get the email? Was it with the agenda, also was the project list, which we're going to review in a bit. It was going to be also with the attendance tracker. I think it was all
Pardon me?
built into that one email, Joe.
okay, then I apologize. I did not look closely at the entire email. I just looked at the agenda and printed it out.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there,
I'll go
will
on my
read-
I'll go on my iPad now and look at it while you
Okay,
continue.
I have a copy and I will read it out loud to all board members. I think I have a copy here. I should have a copy. I hope I have a copy.
If you don't, Kurt, I have it right in front of me.
No, I have it here.
Okay.
So the letter as drafted, once again, the subject is the April 6th, 2022 Recreation Board meeting with ex officiato members, dated 1/4. Dear ex officiato members, which would be Greg Charoux from the Gilbert School, Melanie Shanley from the Town of Winchester Schools, and Jonathan, who's on the call with us as a selectman liaison. I've stated here that the Winchester Recreation Board would like to invite you to attend our April 6, 2022 meeting at 7 p.m. in the P. Francis Hicks room at Town Hall. Purpose of this meeting is to have an in-person open dialogue pertaining to what recreational activities, programs, the Recreation Department, the Gilbert and Town schools are currently offering, along with hopefully identifying any gaps which may be out there for our community and children. Once again, the next short paragraph was more of, a lot of these folks may not understand that they're ex officiato members. It states, if you are not aware, pursuant to our town charter, section 603, the Gilbert School principal, town superintendent, and selectman liaison are all ex officiato members of the Recreation Board. We have had in the past representatives of both Gilbert and Town schools attend meetings in lieu of your respective positions as detailed in the charter. The board looks forward to meeting on April 6th. Please confirm you or your representatives attendance no later than February 25th. If you require any further information, you can reach out to myself or Tanya. So that's kind of what I have drafted out for this meeting with the group for April 6th. Any comments or questions on this?
The only question I would have is if we're still going to be quarantined and not meeting at Town Hall. I would think you want to have the meeting with these people in person as opposed to doing,
It better not be in April, man.
I know.
We better not be. We'll do
No
it
crystal
outside.
ball, Joe, but
I agree, but if
you
the
know, once
letter's
again-
going out soon, you've got the date of April 1st at Town Hall. So that's all I'm saying. Should the letter be held in abeyance for a while?
Well, I would like to get it out, Joe, so that basically that they know. And once again, I'm going to kind of share with you my experiences is I'm pretty sure that, you know, this is budget cycle time for all the schools and everything. They may choose to say, hey, I can't come, but I'm going to send a representative. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen, but I can't speak. But I think the sooner that we get it out, once again, and get a confirmation back that, you know, before the end of February that, you know, these people can come to the meeting, whether it's, you know, hopefully it is in person, or, hey, we're going to send a representative, or no, we're not showing. So that gives us time to prepare for exactly what we want to have for, you know, good dialogue. So I would propose to send it out sooner than later.
Okay, I agree.
Okay. Any other
Mr. Chairman.
comments on that?
Mr. Chairman, quick question. So, and I don't know if this is a new item or if you guys have discussed this previously, but do you view this exercise as a way to kind of simply engage these guys and remind them that they can do this? Or have you guys had a prior discussion about gaps that this group thinks that exist? So do we have things in mind already that, hey, we think there are some gaps that we would bring to the meeting, or are we just listening to hear or waiting, trying to hear from them?
So Brian, just to touch a little bit on that. We actually never had anyone attend before from Gilbert or from Pearson. So this is kind of like trying to get them here in the first place. We've never had them actually attend, so we don't even know if they know that they can or should at this point.
I will comment on that, Tanya. Before you came to town, we have had in the past, like, St. Anthony's and somebody from Gilbert. I don't think we ever, and maybe somebody from the town come. This goes back a number of years.
Okay, so not even the last 7 years, Brian.
Yes, correct. I'm saying going back in time. Yep. So I think just to follow up on Brian's and your input and Brian's question is, Brian, is that one of the things, and I have talked about this a number of times in past meetings, when you look at the recreation department and the activities and the programs that we put forth, and I actually posed this question to Jonathan, the selectman liaison, last meeting. We seem to focus our programs for the most part up through probably 6th, 7th, maybe 8th grade. So what's going on in high school, for example, that where are the gaps? I don't know. I don't have a child in high school anymore. All my kids are, in their 20s and 30s. So I'm concerned that maybe there are things that maybe the schools aren't offering, that maybe if they come to us and say, hey, we would like to do this, but we can't, maybe it's something collaboratively we could do. And once again, it's a very open discussion. So I know Jonathan made some commentary at our last meeting about clubs and other things that are going on up at Gilbert, but I think we need to have this dialogue, in my opinion.
Kurt, I saw the agenda item and I was particularly intrigued by it. I think it's a good idea. I mean, a couple of things came to mind for me, right off the bat, at least on the sports end. You just mentioned the word clubs, and to me that opens another door of things that perhaps recreation can do if the schools aren't doing. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And my only thought with the letter, and I don't know that this is necessary, but my only thought with the letter, do we need to put any examples in the letter to get them thinking along the lines of what we're thinking? But I guess we could do that with additional dialogue after inviting them to the meeting, and from now and then, if they have questions, I guess we could fill in the blanks. But I think it's a great idea. That's my point.
And I think the other thing too, and I can sit here and talk openly. We all have input. I have never met the superintendent of the town schools yet. I have not met the new Gilbert headmaster or principal or whatever his official title is. So I think I didn't want to put it in there as a meet and greet type thing, but I think it's appropriate. There are many things that we're relying on Gilbert and the town schools to support, and vice versa. So I think it's good to have and getting back to Joe's point, I think it's hopefully we can have a face-to-face, and then we can, rather than, hey, I'm sending you an email and, hey, what's your response back to me? So if everyone's good with the letter as drafted, I will send that out before week's end. Is that good with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Okay. Next item I want to chat about very quickly. Those of you who received email from me, I did send out our 3, 5, 10-year project list. I've begun to try to update the revision of things that have been accomplished over the last year or two. I would like on our meeting in February, I will be putting a line item in the agenda that we really need as a board. We need to spend some time revisiting this project list, revisiting or adding anything to it, updating it. Last time a formal review and update that was done was probably a year ago, February of 2021. This is a living, breathing document that we put together way back in 2007. It's not all encompassing, but it's a guide basically to to allow people to see that the recreation board, we are looking at short-term, long-term, what our needs are. And then also looking out as we move into the next budget cycle for the town, which budgeting, I'm assuming, is going to be beginning very, very soon, if it already hasn't begun. We want to be in a position to go to the town manager and say, hey, is there any capital being available, possibly? If so, we would like the recreation board, here are one or a couple projects that may merit that. So I want to make sure that the list is updated. If there are other things that the board would like to add to it, feel free, take some time over the next month to go through it, pick it apart. Once again, this is something that we started many, many years ago, but is a good document to revisit periodically, make sure that we're working on the right things for the current and for the future. Any questions on that? Okay. With that said, next item I want to chat about real quick is we did mention last, I think it was last month, I made a comment about the teen center in Torrington. And once again, I think I mentioned that, and this kind of gets back to some of my concerns personally about what do we have to offer for our teenagers, those that are in, middle school going into high school. And, I noticed that article about the teen center in Torrington. So one of the things, and I'm just going to throw this out here and we can have some commentary. You may have read that that the Board of Education could not, basically, for whatever reason, utilize the Bank of America building for whatever purpose that they were going to be planning to use it. I don't know all the details. I don't know if it was grants and it didn't meet their needs. But, Tanya and I had a very quick conversation a couple of weeks ago about, hey, would this be something that the Recreation Board, once again, Bank of America has given it to the town a year or two ago, is this something that may suit one of our needs on our list? So any commentary from anybody on that? Tanya, you have any comments?
Well, like I said in the past, me, Kate, and Josh went to look at it in the past. We thought it would be a good community center. Kate and I, those that don't know who Kate Bale is, she's our full-time person now in town hall for social services. I haven't had a chance to talk to her yet. She was out with COVID, and then I was out with COVID, so I haven't seen her in like probably 3 weeks. But I do plan to talk to her soon about potentially bringing that back up to Josh, what her thoughts are, and go from there.
All right. I haven't been in the Bank of America in a while, but I'm sure, once again, I would assume it's better than our Gaylord Tiffany building.
It's about 5-6 times the size. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it'd be a great place for a community center, but what would go on there? What is Torrington provide in their community center for teenagers? What would be inside? What would be held?
Torrington has like a computer area where people could sit, do their homework. They have a gaming area where they can do like video games. They have pool table, air hockey, darts, couches, TVs, like chill spots that kids can just hang out at. And then they have the social services people working there for support and exercise.
Oh, that'd be great, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the building, the bank is big enough to do that in one floor and then do a whole nother thing on another floor. Rooms for other activities, programs, classes. The building's actually huge.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that big until I walked around. It's huge.
Yeah, I don't think I was ever only on the first floor, never on the second floor.
Yeah, the second floor is like 4 rooms, a bathroom up there, and a kitchen.
Big enough for a gym?
No, unfortunately, the ceilings wouldn't be big enough.
I know, we can go up.
Yeah.
But once again, this kind of reason I'm raising this is that, and I'm getting back, and I'm waiting to understand fully is that, I'm still stuck on that. I don't think we do enough. We provide enough for our teenagers in town. And once again, I'm going back 30, 40 years when we went to high school, Diane. Okay, not to predate our age. So I don't see those types of things, but I think there may be a gap there, and this may be something that helps us out. I'm not sure, but that's why I wanted to have the other reason why I wanted to have this. One of the key reasons why I wanted to have this meeting with both the superintendent and the headmaster, along with Jonathan, to have some dialogue about this, and do we have gaps, and maybe this falls into. I'm not sure. So
when we were there, we had it at the YMCA. Remember,
we had a lot of things. Yeah.
The teen night. Yeah.
Once again, I think back then the schools. I'm not saying that they're not doing a lot now, but when we were in school, basically we had dances, we had a lot of Friday night activities and functions, after hours, and I'm not sure if that's happening or not, and I hope that it is, but I want to make sure that we're not missing something. So.
Well, even when I was in high school, we had a little teen center because we had arcades. It was right by where China Star is. We had arcades there. We had pool tables there. We had the jukeboxes. So
yeah, I think it would be great.
Something for some, it would be beneficial to have something for the teenagers.
Okay. So I just wanted to throw that out. Once again, I think it may merit some further investigation, which I know that we're going to do. All right. Last item I want to put out before we go over to the item on the community grant is I wanted to give everyone a quick update on the Richa Beach Pavilion. So those of you who are aware, we did put applications in for a 12x16 pavilion at Richa Beach. Tanya and I went to an inland wetlands meeting in December. The only feedback we got from the inland wetlands group was that they would probably want to see a little bit more structure around the construction of the pavilion and, steps and what we would do to protect the lake during the construction. So nothing really major coming out of that. The ZBA, those zoning board of approval, I went to a meeting, I believe it was the 28th. And once again, this was for an application for a variance. The application for the variance was for impervious surface. And once again, what was presented within A2 survey was showing the proposed pavilion in relationship to everything else at the beach and the parking lot. And basically a small percentage for the roof structure would change the impervious the impervious rating that's currently up there. So I went and presented to the ZBA board on the 28th. There were 4 members on the ZBA at the board. The vast majority that was presented by myself was strictly around why we're doing this, and primarily for the safety of our counselors and basically lifeguards and the playground participants who go up to the lake a number of times. The variety of questions that I was asked by the board members, very little about the impervious situation change. It was more about how vandalism, is it going to be, why would you do that if it was only there for, you're only going to use for 2 or 3 months out of the year. There were a number of lake residents, a couple that presented in person, and a few that were read in regarding, their concerns with basically the pavilion, vandalism, litter, so on and so forth. Once again, I closed out. There were read into the docket, a letter regarding, strictly on safety from I think it was Jeff Albanese. In the end, basically, when the vote was taken, it was 2 in favor and 2 against. Once again, no specific reasons given for acceptance or disapproval. We needed to go 4 in favor and 0 against. So at this point in time, we are more or less, it was rejected by the Zoning Board of Appeals. So we, I believe, are kind of somewhat dead in the water at this point in time. I don't think we can proceed moving forward to another inland wetlands meeting or a planning and zoning meeting at this point, is my understanding, unless I'm wrong. So that is kind of where we are with the pavilion as it was presented. Any commentary or questions from anybody?
We're not allowed to go forward again and bring it back to the board, or it's not the zoning board, or like you said, it's completely dead in the water. There's no other option.
I believe you can appeal it, I believe, and I'm not sure. I don't want to, but I don't think we're allowed to move forward to any other steps in the approval process at this point in time. I may be wrong, but.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has to be appealed, and then you would.
Pam, are you still on or listening? Do you have any feedback that you could just provide that you understand a little bit better than we do?
Yeah, if I remember, you needed a 0.5% impervious surface variance. So I talked to Tanya following that meeting, where you may want to consider swapping out some of the sand and replacing it with grass, with lawn or sod, and then you wouldn't need a variance. You would still need wetlands approval, but Kurt, I think your take on that was correct, that that's not going to be a challenge. Wetlands. Planning and zoning will likely have the same residents who shared concerns regarding vandalism, and you're only going to have it there, you really only need it temporarily for 2 months. But what I had explained to Tanya is you're going to have different board members reviewing that. So you may want to consider not needing a variance, meaning swap, like I say, swap out some of the sand for grass. It would mean a conversation with your surveyor so that he could modify your site plan to show no need for a variance, continue with wetlands, and then continue with planning and zoning, but it's up to you. The appeal period, Diane, the appeal process is to Superior Court when Zoning Board of Appeals appeals something.
And we're not
I doubt
going
you want to do that.
No.
So,
right.
Pam, I appreciate you giving that feedback. I guess, once again, one of the questions I have is that in your experience per se, once again, we went for a variance for impervious surface. Are there variances given for, in your history, for impervious surface without any changes to the application?
Yeah,
because
and your ask was small.
And because and once again, this is personal. This is nothing to do with the recreation board. Just as a resident, I felt presenting and the questions that were asked had nothing to do with the impervious variance that we were requesting.
They have a great deal of latitude with what they
I believe they do from going to the meeting. Yes.
Right. The default is no. When you have a proposal for a variance, the default is no. Show us why it should be yes. So given that as your frame, they can ask pretty much whatever they want. However, it's really about, there was less discussion about what your hardship was, that, we might be able to, fine tune the ask where, what is your hardship? Well, your hardship is, the very nature of the site is, your paved parking lot and your beach. so you have, the fact that you have any grass at all is, any pervious, the grass is pervious. And I think you're allowed, what, 15%?
It was very small percent.
Yeah. And you're only increasing it by 0.5% because, as I recall, but anyway. They can ask those questions.
And once again, I'm going to get back, and I don't want to belabor the point to the whole board is that the vast majority of the questions had nothing to do, in my opinion, with the impervious. It had more to do with basically, how are you patrolling this? Why is this beach open now? And why isn't it closed? And what do you do for vandalism? And I can go on and on and on. And I don't want to do that. I just felt that it really didn't, to me, it didn't stick to the subject of what the variance we were asking for. So anyway, that's my opinion, personal.
Yep.
So I think, Tanya, I'm going to ask you, and if any board members has any other input, I think maybe you can follow up with Pam, and maybe we can come back with some type of, lack of a better word, a counter proposal or counter measure, maybe.
Yeah, I'll get
Does that
together
sound
with
good to
Pam,
everybody?
and I'll get together with John DeCara that did the surveying to see what he can come up with.
Kurt, what is the safety issue? Is it keeping kids out of the sun, or?
Yeah, I'll let Tanya talk a little bit about that. She can give you more detail, Brian. Thank you.
So Brian, mainly it's there's no shade up there really. We take our summer camp up there every Tuesday during the summer. This year we actually had 2 or 3 kids go home with like severe sunburn. We do like timeouts that, okay, everyone put your sunblock on at least 2 to 3 times, but without shade. I mean, we're not allowed to put sunblock and rub it onto a 5-year-old. Like, we can help them as much as we could, but There's just no shade. There's nowhere for them to eat their lunch. There's nowhere for our camp counselors to sit to watch them. Our lifeguards are all ranged between 16 and like 22. I had 6 of them this year that didn't drive, that either got dropped off by mom and dad, or rode their bikes. They had nowhere to go on their breaks. They have no car to sit in. Weather rolled in. They're now standing out in a bad storm, waiting for their rides to get picked up. So I mean, it's a lot of safety.
I mean, I don't know how important this project is to the board, or how much you guys have discussed it, or, but I'm just personal, based on what I know about town, I'm personally skeptical that this project would go forward up there. I just sort of feel like, and that I don't know. I just don't think it would happen. I think there's too much resistance at the lake. I sort of, based on, what I know and see around town, I just feel
I think it's going to be an uphill battle
that won't want it there. And if we are serious about it, then, the next time we have an opportunity in front of one of these boards, beyond having Jeff Albanese's talk, I think you have parents, kids, lifeguards come talk too. If you want to start to apply those pressure points, I don't know how important this is to, to the board, but, I think there's more we can do from that standpoint.
Very valid point, Brian. Very valid point. I think it's going to be an uphill battle. And I think we knew this, moving forward. But once again, we got to take the first step. And if you got to take step backwards and go sideways once or twice and backwards again and then forward. So I would ask, once again, let's take Pam's advice. Maybe Tanya can meet with Pam. My other thought process, folks, is the following. We did explain to them, and this was put out in Jeff Albanese's letter that was read into the record, that everything needs to be carried up from the town playground area, the canopies and all these things, if they're available, and then set up, so on and so forth. So the other counter proposal I would throw out is the following: is that we request to put up a small storage shed on the impervious parking lot and to store our stuff.
Kurt,
we'll see what we will get. We would get issues with that. Guaranteed.
Kurt, were the other 2 letters read as well? Caleb Bird, the head lifeguard supervisor, wrote a letter that I handed in, and so did the gentleman. I can't remember his name. Wrote a letter from the Summer Kids Foundation that lives on Highland Lake. He wrote a letter.
Whatever
as well.
Pam, I asked Pam at the meeting, whatever letters were to be read in. I didn't have copies of them.
Okay, yeah, there was 3 total that were handed in.
I know Jeff's letter was read into the record.
Right.
So once again, I will put this as an agenda item for our February meeting. Once again, we've got to do something. So, and whatever that is going to be, and we're not quite sure. So
Sounds like their big issue is basically the vandalism.
I think
think
vandalism, and then also we did have somebody reading, and I forgot the address where this individual lived. I think he may have lived on Hurlbut Street. He did mention something about affected view from his property, I believe, if I remember correctly. Which was fine. It's great that these people a couple of them came to the meeting to express their concerns, and 1 or 2 wrote some things in also. So, and once again, that's all public at this point. So if any of the board members want to go back, that was a live meeting recorded. So if you want to get your own perspective of what transpired, feel free to go back. I think it was the 28th of December. And once again, you're just taking my viewpoints of being at the meeting and presenting. So, okay. Okay, so that concludes my report at this point. So I want to move on to next item here on our agenda, which is the update on the Communities Challenge grant. So Tanya, if you could give us an update, what's going on there?
I have not heard anything since the last time we talked. I did give Josh the update on the soccer board willing to give the 2,000. I have not heard from the baseball board.
Right, I will
from that.
I will follow up with a follow-up email to them. Once again, with myself being on the board, I have to be a little bit cautious on being a chairman of the recreation board and being on that board. But once again, I will follow up. I'll send an email to the other board members to ask them to provide necessary input.
The last time when I sent it to Josh, he got no word or no feedback from Gilbert as to what they want to do.
Okay.
So we're kind of up in the air right now with that section, if it's going to go forward, because we don't know where the match is coming from.
Okay. So explain to us again. So what other pieces of information are needed before this grant application goes in? And there's a timeline, I'm sorry.
Right. So just for that section, where the match is coming from.
Okay. And
without Gilbert giving us information, without the baseball giving us information, we only have $2,000 to put forward. We as a rec board don't know what we want to put forward because they're not. We don't know what the other people are yet to say, hey, we have 5,000 to add to that.
Andy, what is the match? Like, what is the match?
They want it to be at least 10,000.
Okay.
My understanding.
Okay, so I will follow back up with the baseball softball board and make a personal phone call or a couple phone calls to see, and I will more or less shame them to say, hey, the soccer board put so much forth, so on and so forth. So we'll try that tactic to get some movement.
And I'll touch base again with Josh to see if he got anywhere with Gilbert.
And once again, it's a simple response. We're looking back from Gilbert. Yes, no, I need more information, or or something. Silence isn't anything.
Right. Yeah, I'll reach out to Josh tomorrow via email, CC you on it, and see if he got a response yet from Gilbert or where we kind of stand with that.
Okay, good. Anything else you want to comment on this grant update at this point?
At this point, that's all I know. I know the application was put in. No details were put out of what they need from me yet, or any planning to go forward with the application. We just gave a hard yes that we will be applying, but we didn't physically put in the application. I don't believe that's due until the end of the month.
Okay. And so for Brian and then we also have, we want to make sure that Shane, for Brian and Shane, this community grant is something I think there's a sub team at Town Hall. Tanya's part of that. I think you guys began your efforts in October, if I remember correctly.
I believe so, yes.
Right, and there were 8 or 9, the subcommittee, there were 8 or 9 projects that kind of came out for this community grant. You want to just provide maybe a little more background for the new board members on this, Tanya?
Yeah, so the community grant is money basically that different towns could apply for, anywhere from $1 million to $10 million. The town does have to come up with 20% match for anything they ask for. We as Winchester is part of a group that
we're distressed.
Poverty than everywhere else. I think there was like maybe like 10 or 12 different ones. So like Waterbury, New Haven, Bridgeport, Winstead. I can't remember them all offhand, but we are part of a subgroup that is more poverty than other towns. So we have a slight better chance of getting some money than other towns. So basically this subcommittee that he put together, Josh, is like 7 or 8 of us. We came up with different projects in town that we thought were feasible that kind of matched the guidelines. For the recreation department, Sue Grossman Trail falls under for us, the baseball lights, the Tetros Pond. Really, there's one other one I can't remember offhand that kind of directly linked to the recreation board. So if we do get money, it would help and be more feasible for the recreation board of helping us get more things for our activities, for our grounds that we have ourselves, the rec board. So how the grant is written, we decided as the board, instead of doing one huge thing with like 15 different projects and make it $10 million, we decided we're applying for 3 grants, all about between, I think they're like 2.5 and 4.7 million. And there's 3 of them. And one of them is solely like recreation stuff. It's Tetros Pond, the ball fields, and something else. I can't remember offhand. And that's where we have to be able to give back some of that 20%. And in the grant, how it's written is if you have other groups or committees that can put towards it, it looks better on your grant. So that's why we're trying to get the soccer board, the baseball board, Gilbert to all donate money, because it clicks off that box that says there's other charity events that community people that are going for this and helping out. So that's basically the gist of it. Yep.
All right. Thanks for that. Thanks for that quick synopsis of history of the challenge grant here and some of the items included in that. So any other questions, any board members for Tanya on this Communities Challenge grant at this time?
Danny, a quick question. So on I think we're doing lights at the ball fields, correct? Do I have that right?
Correct.
And so what are we doing? Like retrofitting the existing lights with LEDs, or?
No, so we would go 100% new poles and with LEDs, and then
so
we're also trying to
replacing everything.
We're gonna the ones that are there are just gonna be new poles with new lights with new LEDs, but we also want to expand it all the way around Walker Field, so Walker Field's lit for baseball as well. And it would also
are there there's no lights at Walker now?
No,
okay.
No. So it would also help out the smaller soccer fields as well.
When I heard about that, I guess because I'm involved in soccer. So who controls like baseball scheduling and things of that sort? And does baseball go into the fall? And now because they're lights, does it create sort of more scheduling challenges between baseball and soccer? Or do you not envision that being an issue because baseball wraps up and there won't be like a lot of lighted games?
Well, I mean, we do get some fall ball games. Kurt does an excellent job scheduling.
I think for fall ball, we had basically 2 teams that utilized Walker Field, and they were primarily, once again, Saturday, Sunday time periods. And once again, working with Kevin Lilly, since I do the master scheduling for baseball, that, we there were no issues per se in any of the time slots. And that fall was, I believe, beginning maybe 9:12 and ending like 10:20. It actually ended early this year by a week or two because we needed to, start some dugout workouts. So there was no really conflicts. But I think one of the things being is that, and I'll just make further comment is that this past year, you probably may have read in Torrington where the Torrington Park and Recreation Department went from 0 miles to 1,000 miles in speed in regard to the charges that they were giving or pay for teams. That would be Legion, that would be any other type of baseball clubs that were using Fusions Park. So I see, and we've always here have talked about lights at Walker Field. I would think that would only enhance basically more teams coming to us as a recreation board and say, hey, can we utilize your field? And once again, this is, we do have charges accordingly for that. And especially at night. So I think it would be positive. It's something that we've always looked at for Walker Field, but we all know that the lighting around Dodge Field is very poor, and especially down near the large goal in the left field area of Walker Field. So I think it's
to answer your question, Brian. Basically, when we're doing scheduling, when it's soccer season, soccer takes preference.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So each sport during their season takes preference. So like baseball is not going to just come in because there's lights now and just take a cap on things when it's soccer season, because it's soccer season. That takes 100% preference over everything first. And then we fill in the gaps. That answers your question better.
You see where this is going. I spend 99% of my time thinking about soccer, so
that's okay.
I understand.
You'll hear that a lot.
It's soccer season. It's soccer season.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand your question better, Brian.
No, that's fine. No, it's perfect.
It's soccer season. It's soccer season. We won't.
I appreciate all the info. That's perfect.
Yep. Right.
Thank you.
And as I mentioned, I've been doing the master scheduling for baseball and even working with Kevin on spring soccer. Making sure, the Friday night activities, you guys can have it over on Raleigh Street accordingly, so it seems to all work out. Very few issues moving forward, but okay, good. Any other questions? Okay, I'd like to move to item 8, which is Tetras Pond sub-team update. Just once again, quick commentary. We kind of at our last meeting in December, we were informed that Tetras Pond is in very tough shape. We all know that it's an area that's very isolated. I think Jim Rollins came to Tanya about the issues with the small dam that's there and the disrepair. So I think we wanted to be in a position to have a sub-team look at Tetras Pond and see what it could be. And basically be ready to present something back to the town to say, here's what we would think that this could be some opportunities for Tetras Pond. So I know that Tanya and I think Timmy and I know Joe and I think Alan Miller, you guys spent some time down there, and then there was some follow-up visits to other sites. So I don't know which one of you guys in the committee want to talk to about what your thoughts are at this point in time.
I can speak on behalf of the group that went out. Joe actually did an excellent job. He went around to a couple of parks that we thought were similar to it and took some pictures. I apologize. I was going to print them for the meeting if it was in person. I had COVID, so I didn't get around to making a file so I can email it to everyone, but I will get that done next week so you guys could all take a look. But basically what the 4 of us did was we went on a little hike around Tetras Pond, look at the grounds. We came up with some ideas. Basically our idea is clearing out that parking lot, putting up a nice pavilion, some benches that are overlooking the water, places to sit, and making a clear hiking path, kind of like how Burr Pond is with their boardwalks, over the marsh areas, do the same concept, so that way people can walk the entire way around the pond, Tetris Pond. Make it so that people could take their dogs on leash. And then in the parking lot towards the back end of it, we were thinking about putting like a small playground, so that way families could kind of make a whole day out of it if they wanted to have a little lunch, play on the swings, walk around the entire play area, and then where their bathrooms were gonna go years ago, put real bathrooms in that run to the sewer lines. So that was kind of our idea and concept of what we all thought would look nice down there.
Right. Joe or Tim, I know Alan's not with us tonight. Any other comments?
Yeah, I went back a second time on my own. I almost fell in the pond the first time. If Tanya didn't save me, I would have gone for an early swim. But nevertheless, I think there's definitely potential there. But as I sent in a subsequent memo to you, I hope you got that. It is off the beating track. And the big question I have is, if we build it, will they come? Or do we think maybe they'll come? But beside that, potential for building something around the pond, maybe even a 1/4 mile walking path / wooden walkway in some areas, offering people to walk in some peace and quiet and tranquility. I think there's certainly room for a small playground there, fenced in to keep quads and bikes and motorcycles and that stuff out, and preferably keep young kids in and out walking toward the pond. The one thing I think is certainly cleaning up the parking area and maybe, if possible, making some improvement to the roadway in. It's a blind turn coming up and out. It's an incline, and I don't know how much can be done there. The dam, from what I understand, is a major cost in terms of fixing it, and it is pretty beaten up. The wall is basically collapsing on one side. And I would refrain from any permanent structure for toilets and or gazebo at going in first, because I'd rather see how everything else is working out for a year or two and seeing whether or not there's any vandalism occurring before we put up a permanent structure of either bathrooms and or a gazebo. But having said that, I think there's potential there. I think it's worth exploring it more and including it in the grant, or keeping it in the grant.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, and Joe, I did receive your email when I got to work on Monday, so I did see the photos and your dissertation on it. So thank you very much.
The two places in Watertown that I visited are much nicer. They're well developed. They have nice ponds. One is a swimming pond. They have gazebos. They have swings. They have plenty of parking, picnic area. Really nice areas in the town of Watertown. Very nice.
Right. Good. So Tim McGrain, what were your thoughts based upon your visits?
So I talked to a bunch of the parents. Sorry, my dog's going nuts. I talked to a bunch of the parents that my daughters go to school with, and a lot of them consistently will go to like Brody Park or like White Memorial just to get their kids outside. And everyone that I talked to thought it was a great idea, even just the boardwalk and like just a swing set and a slide or something small, where they can stay in town and bring their kids out. Because we've got the playgrounds around town, but nothing where, the parents can walk around.
Yeah.
A lot of the people are now into nature, walking around doing hikes, and something small like that, I think, would be a great idea. But like Joe said, to spend that amount of money for something that we don't know, I think we should start small.
Well, I think the reason, once again, this has been, Tetris Pond is under the auspices of the Board of Recreation and Recreation Department. We have known for a number of years that other than the Elks fishing derby and maybe one other two or small functions, it's an area that we don't really super maintain. It's blocked off in the winter. There are some issues down there. Once again, potential for vandalism. I'll say that most definitely. It's an isolated area, but we have to do something. We have to do something. And I don't know what exactly that's going to be. Jim Rollins says, hey, you need to, we're going to have to do something with the dam. I mean, the state's going to ask about, what are you doing? I mean, so if the state's going to get involved and ask about, what's going to be the dam, we do with the dam, and we might as well at least have some proposal or proposals available to give to the town and for consideration, and saying, well, if you're going to apply for money to do the dam, can you apply for this, and this, to make this a little bit more usable? Once again, I think between the town-owned property and the Tetros property, I think it's about 10 or 12 acres, if I remember, looking at the site plan. So is it, once again, probably, 9 of it is in wetlands, but it's it's a nice area, and it can be a better area, but we need to do something to make sure that we're using it for recreational purposes, because that is how it was granted to the town from Mr. Tetro, that it needs to be maintained and it needs to be used for recreational purposes. So more to come on that. So what are our next steps on this, guys? From anybody, or any other questions? Brian, I see you're on.
Kurt, are you saying that, so that there's 2 separate things? We need to do something with it recreation wise, but we also have the issue of the dam, which I'm guessing is a big chunk of money. So are you saying that it enhances our ability to get some type of state funding to do something with the dam if we've got something recreational going on?
I'm just proposing that, once again, this is something, Tetros Ponds is something that we have talked about as a board on and off for the last number of years. I believe, Tanya, Jim Rollins came to you and said, hey, listen, the state is making inquiries, I believe, about the dam, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And that this then kind of prompted us, Brian, to say, hey, listen, maybe we got to get a little bit more serious about this from a recreational board perspective. Let's get a subcommittee going. It was Joe's recommendation to start, getting like little committees together to start coming up with ideas. I don't know where it's all going to go, but I'd rather be in a position to have something to present to the town manager, to the selectmen, just as we are doing our 3, 5, and 10-year plan, rather than just not having anything available. So at least it shows interested parties that we, as the Board of Recreation, we are talking about these things. We are coming up with concepts or ideas. And once again, in the past, funding has always been very difficult for the Recreation Board, but now that we're getting more into grant writing and having I think we have a full-time person who's in the town doing grants, is my understanding. These are the opportunities, and I'd rather be, from a recreational perspective, be first in line with something to present than say, hey, I'll get back to you in 4 months from now when asked,
Thank you.
So Kurt, so with all of that said, where do we stand? Does the subcommittee need to put a formal presentation in writing together to present to the board as a whole for a vote up or down on whether we go forward with this whole thing?
Yeah, what I was, and that was really my question is really, what, to your point, Joe, what are our next steps here? And once again, I know, Joe, you there are some photos I saw, and I know your quick summary that you wrote up. So I, once again, trying to get back to our project planning that we're going to talk about in February, in our February meeting, is that Tetros Pond is on that. It's a low priority, but Tetros Pond has been on that list for a number of years. So I would say my recommendation is that as your subcommittee, as we just kind of, not yours specifically, but as the subcommittee, we've talked about a couple things. I would ask at our February meeting, let's go through it in more detail and say, we want a boardwalk, yes, no. We want the playground fenced in, yes, no. We want pavilion, yes, no, so on and so forth. And then we can at least then say, okay, the board conceptually has done this. Then we can go out and at least begin doing some estimates on what we think that's going to cost. And then the next step after that is have it ready, present it to the town manager and say, hey, we hear that basically the dam's got to be fixed down there. How are you going to pay for that? How's the town going to pay for that? You're going to go out for a grant, or are you going to go, how's that going to work? Hey, can we basically, piggyback on with these things is my thought process. Once again, it's going to be very difficult. Anything with recreational is really kind of low on the bottom list of, everything that's going on in the town, but you got to keep promoting it. That's all I can say. At this point. Shane, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I had two questions. One, I wasn't sure if there's discussion on it anywhere. I know one of the things that I'd love to see in town recreational wise would be some sort of dog park. So I don't know if Tetros would be in the area.
That is a huge topic. We don't know where to put it.
Wonderful.
So if you want to start thinking of where, that would be a huge help, because we thought Tetros Pond, after walking there, definitely not a good place for it.
No.
Too
Okay.
wet. We don't know where.
Okay.
So if you want to start thinking of a location, please, by all means, let me know, because we all want one.
Definitely.
We just don't know where.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm tired of driving to Torrington.
Yeah, no. Well,
Brian,
listen, I have two dogs. My dog's right here sleeping next to me.
And
We just don't know where. Shane.
Yeah, and my other
Brian
question.
Shaughnessy, Shane, actually, talked about a dog park, a couple of years ago, and I know he's he's unfortunately not on tonight, so he has some good insights on that. And we've talked about it's all these things we've talked about.
Yeah.
But once again, is that you may think that the town owns a lot of property, but we don't.
No.
So when there are some thoughts going around, and I could provide some insight if need be. I have some ideas also. So
okay. Other question is I'm looking at Google Maps because honestly I wasn't even sure where Tetros fully was. Does that, if you were talking like obviously walking paths, boardwalk, that kind of thing, does that border up with the land that the trust owns? Because I know there's a bunch of the Gilbert Trust. I know there's a bunch of walking trails and stuff back there.
Right up to the Gilbert Trust, up that steep ass hill.
Because obviously if the trust was on board with connecting in and obviously having more hiking trails there, that'd be wonderful. Because I know I've hiked back there before.
We looked, and Joe and I and Tim, we looked up that hill. It would be some extreme hiking and extreme rocks. Yeah.
Shane, I will tell you, I grew up in that neighborhood, right up the street.
Yep.
I know that mountain very well. It's something that is very rugged. My family owns property, basically in that area, abutting. So I know it very well. So
one of those, it's easier to use the trails from the school side than it would be to connect it in.
Yeah, no, but anyway, okay.
Kurt, is final question for me is Tetros Pond, maybe this is like a dumb question, but is it a real pond in the sense that it falls under the umbrella of, say, like inland wetlands? So if you wanted to do a boardwalk around, I know it's got
you're going to have to go through the same process. You're going to have to go through the same process. Once again, it's zoned. It's in wetlands. It's zoned residential. It's not, once again, in the Highland, like it's zoned as residential. You're going to have to go through all the same approval processes for whatever you're going to want to do down there. Whether it's putting a playground, whether it's putting a structure, whether it's repairing a dam, or, putting a boardwalk up, you're going to have to go through all those things. No doubt about it.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other commentary on Tetros Pond? Okay, we're going to move on to item number 8, which is another subcommittee, Bachelor school area. This was a topic that I raised a couple meetings ago, indicating that, once again, everyone's aware that Hinsdale School is being renovated. And at some point, once it's basically fully populated, Bachelor School will probably be returned from the Board of Education to the town. Once again, it kind of gets back to my commentary I've said a number of times is that I would rather try to be first in line for any things that the Recreation Board could utilize property or facilities that are town owned. So I kind of threw it out saying that a Bachelor School, I haven't been there since my son was in kindergarten basketball back in 1993. So I know it's in tough shape, but once again, more than likely the town is going to knock the building down. We don't know what they're going to do. Is there any usage for our recreation department? So myself and Joe and Brian, we were trying to get together in December. Joe went up on a separate visit to Bachelor, and Joe, I actually went up the day afterwards. So I would like for Joe to kind of give you his assessment of Bachelor. So go ahead, Joe.
Thank you very much. It's on a hill, and I drove up to it, obviously, when kids were not in school, so I didn't go inside, but I went around the entire building. I walked around it. The building on the exterior is in decay. I guess that's the mildest word I could use for it. It may be extreme decay. If I had a kid, I don't think I'd let him go in that school, and I haven't even seen the inside of it. But be that as it may, I went out back. There is a playground out back that hasn't been upkept. There's some swings there. There's a couple of portable basketball hoops. I don't even know if the school uses that area anymore. Maybe they do during a recess period. I don't know. But I walked around the entire school and I looked in the windows a little bit on the backside. I don't even think they use that portion of the school anymore. It looks all boarded up. So my only comment that I made to Kirk was if the inside is half as bad as the outside, I think the wrecking ball is the next thing that has to hit that place. Having said that, I think the footprint of the property, once the school is cleared, if that comes to be, would be an excellent spot for a recreational facility and or a dog park and or outdoor recreational equipment as well, with plenty of parking around the perimeter. So I think there's a lot of potential up there, but not with the current structure.
Right. Thanks, Joe. And as I said, I took a drive up there a day after Joe did. And, some of the things that I concur with Joe's commentary, some of the things that I've always looked at Bachelor is that once again, there are, I believe, 39 acres of property on that lot. I think at our November meeting, I think I gave the plot plans to everybody. And I think I was astounded that there's that much acreage up there. Once again, it goes up the hill and so on and so forth. So we talk about dog parks. We talk about in our project planning, dog parks. We talk about disc golf, those types of things, hiking trails. So I think that there's some opportunities at Bachelor if and when it does come back to the town. Once again, I would like to be in a position from the recreational board perspective to say, go to the town manager to present to the selectmen saying, in which I've already had conversations with the town manager, that the recreation board is looking at this property for potential activities. Whether we are in the pecking order or not, or whatever's going to happen there, I'm not sure. But once again, you only have short periods of time, and to get your name in and before someone already makes a decision, well, we're going to sell it for senior housing, or we're going to sell it to this company and they're going to develop it and they're going to knock the building down, so on and so forth. So kind of the same tone here that we talked about with Tetris Pond is I would like to try to put together something in the February meeting for review with the board, to then at least send it up to the town manager and say, hey, we are interested as a board of recreation for consideration for Bachelor School if and when it becomes available for these types of things. And then at least be on the record to the town manager to present to the selectmen at some meeting that, hey, the recreation department is interested and has some things that they would like to utilize this site for. So those are my commentaries.
Kurt, do we think so it sounds like the vibe I'm hearing is, and my understanding, that the building is toast. So when you're talking about using Bachelor, you're doing it with the idea that it will be torn down.
I think that that's what's going to happen. Brian, I haven't been in Bachelor in years, and I know some of the other parents maybe have been through the building. I'm not sure. I would ask those who have been through there.
I guess I was wondering, is there a multi-use space? So maybe not a gym, but is there a big cafeteria that can,
So the cafeteria as it stands right now, Brian, is the gym, and it's very small. And like Kurt had said, the building is in very rough shape. The roof needs to be replaced. There's a lot of issues with that building. So it is best that it is torn down and we can use the land for other activities. And there are actually 2 playgrounds up there. One is in better suited. Actually, there's 3 playgrounds, because one is just for the preschoolers and just for the preschoolers, and then one is for the kindergartners and the other one is for the first graders. So the one that Joe had looked at is in rough shape. That's the one with the basketball court. But the lower section that is just for preschool or for kindergartners, excuse me, that one's in great shape. That one's newer. So
yeah, and I do know that when baseball season starts, I know that that's a field that we sometimes send some of the teams up to for practice, so on and so forth, the younger kids. And that field's in tough shape in that back corner there. It's really not a field, but so I think it has, to Joe's point, it has some merit for the property. I don't think the structure itself. I did a lot of basketball in that cafeteria gym back in the early 90s with my son when he was in kindergarten. And I don't think much has changed since then. So anyway, that's kind of where we are with Bachelor School at this point. Any questions or comments from anybody else on the board?
Yeah, just a thought as I'm obviously first meeting, listening to all the different projects, the bank, the Tatros Pond, this. Would it be a feasible idea to kind of, instead of fragmenting us with like 3 different projects, to kind of take the space that there is for Bachelor and kind of combine all of that almost? I mean, obviously, if we took Bank of America for Community Center, there's going to be a lot of renovation costs there, versus if you took a portion of Bachelor for renovation costs and had your community center, you had all of that in that very, very large space. Whereas if we take all of that, put a proposal together and bring that to the town, we might be able to put a better proposal together than fragmenting us into 3 or 4 different projects.
I would say in response, when we look at, and Tanya can comment on this, and this is once again one of the, I guess I won't call it a roadblock, but one of the struggles that we have is that our winter activities, we are, for the most part, for basketball, we are totally dependent upon the accessibility to either the Gilbert School or Pearson School for the vast majority of our programs. Mm-hmm. We would like, and if you look at, and I will send out to you our project planning. We would like nothing more than, and I think Diane mentioned before, our own type of gym that we could control, and then we could schedule. It would make things much easier. Once again, you are looking at, where do you put it? Do you have the parking? And there's a lot of factors involved, and where are you on the pecking order? So I don't disagree with some of your commentary there. I think it's great. And I think that that's what we need to do in our February meeting as we look at this project plan, and we have prioritization, guys. And I think that's key is that when you look at the project plan that we have assigned priorities to projects or ideas, whether it be safety, whether it be we need to get it done because we truly need it for the need, or we basically are at end of life or whatever it may be for it. I think we need to revisit that project plan, and we need to prioritize what should be A, what should be B's, and what should be C's, based upon where we think our community is and what our needs are at this point in time. And at the same time, consider what are the chances of getting some type of funding, So those are my comments. Anybody else want to comment on any what Shane just mentioned?
I have a question, based on your comments about a meeting in February, and this is just a general question. So often I see other boards and commissions, et cetera, or at least the town manager recently has been talking about doing surveys on whether it's housing or whatever. How often does the Board of Recreation do some type of survey or whatever in terms of like what the town is looking for, and does that information inform like what we do, or are we just kind of looking at what we think we need?
I don't think that we've ever, my experience, and I've been on the board for 20 years. So I don't think, and that's a good point, Brian. And I don't think we've ever done what you've asked. But I will say, as I actually, there was a survey going on for the town for additional housing, and I went on that just to see what the questions were. And it's like one of those, I don't know what it's called, a quick monkey survey or whatever they call it. And I was thinking that may be a good thing to do for the Recreation Board, is to do something like that survey of here are 10 questions. And so is that what you're kind of maybe alluding to? I know that we don't do that, but that's a good point.
Yeah, it's totally what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And look, if we're talking about making sure we appear on the pecking order somehow, as the town manager is talking about all these other projects about making us a green town, doing surveys on housing and everything else, do we want to, obviously you start doing a survey, it adds more sort of work to I think our overall planning.
No, good point.
Listen, what the projects are, we got to do the back stuff and all this other stuff. So does it make our work more complex? Maybe if you start getting, residents involved, I don't know. But in terms of staying on the pecking order, it might be worth us thinking about in the coming weeks, like, hey, what do the people want? What types of not only projects, what are you interested in programming? I don't know, that might help us.
No, I think it's a good point. And I put that down in my notes here as an opportunity. I'm going to talk with Tanya a little bit about that. I think maybe a survey would be valid. Once again, let's not assume that we know everything. And that, once again, to your point, if you do get some more input, it just adds maybe a little bit more ammunition to the chamber to utilize. So I will just mention to new board members, we did meet with the town manager in August at a board meeting. I think it was the first meeting with Joe as a board member. We did present to the town manager the 3, 5, and 10-year project plan list. I did tell him that we were going to come and see him in February. Typically I will schedule some time with him, with Tanya, to say, hey, the board, your budget cycle's coming up. We would like this to be considered. So he is well aware that that we are looking at a lot of different things here. So once again, all he can do is just kind of present that to the next level. And once again, one of those levels is going to be Jonathan, who's our selectman liaison, listening in. So, and I know that we gave a copy of our project planning and everything to Jonathan at our December meeting. So yes, most definitely, whatever we can do to promote, I think that's what we need to do, without my mind. It's just very difficult in my experience. When you look at schools, safety, roads, infrastructure, we're kind of way down on the bottom of the list. But sometimes you get lucky, and you need to keep pecking away. All right. If there's no other questions or commentary on item 9, I'd like to turn it over at this point to Tanya to give us an update on activities, and then also anything specific on her director's report.
All right, so we're back from Christmas break. We did take a last week off from basketball. COVID was just getting out of hand at the schools with the contact tracing. We were down like 4 teams, so I made the executive decision just to cancel the last week and start fresh on Monday. It was just so many kids were testing positive, so much contact tracing. So I think it was just for the benefit of everyone's health and well-being to cancel before the holidays, try to keep everyone healthy for the holidays and get them home safely with their families. So we did resume Monday with our travel league and our 4th through 6th grade teams. And I know everything's going smoothly so far, so good. Little kids will start as well this Saturday, K through 3rd. We do have a good group signed up. I believe for the first kindergarten and first graders, there's 31 kids signed up. And then for the 2nd and 3rd graders, we have 18 kids signed up. So that will be taking place starting this Saturday for 8 weeks at Pearson Middle School. And then the men's league is also starting up. That will be played on Sundays, mornings at Gilbert and afternoons at Pearson. We do have 13 teams signed up for that. So we have kind of an A league, B league team going on. So one team each week will have a bye. We'll do 9 weeks of regular play, and then we will do playoffs. So everything seems like it's going pretty well so far with basketball. To my understanding is that the CDC did take away some of the guidelines of having to contact trace anymore. That was one of the big things that the CDC did put out about 3 days ago, that they are not requiring schools to do the tracing anymore. So it's basically if someone tests positive or needs to stay home, that hopefully the parents just do so and they don't bring the kids to the activities, because we will not be doing that tracing according to the CDC anymore. All of their programs are still in swing, going well. We have dance and gymnastics, fencing, karate. Yes.
On basketball, so I'm assuming the floor is fixed. The floor is good to go.
I heard it was. I didn't personally see it, but Ashley did tell me that today.
Okay, cool. And
yeah,
that was
Ashley told me it was all fixed. That they put in a brand new floor in that corner.
Okay, cool.
All right, good.
So
Thanks.
that is good news. Yep.
So Tanya, one question, as we're talking about finishing up on basketball information, how are we going to manage the men's league this year in regard to COVID? What in tracing and all this? What are your thoughts there?
We don't have to do tracing. According to the CDC, there's no more tracing.
Okay, so
men's league will just go in and just be like every other program and every other league. Captains are kind of responsible for their own teams at this time. It's basically if you're sick or in contact, use your smarts and stay home so we can continue to play.
I know a lot of folks, so who's running, who's going to oversee the men's league this year?
Ashley Clement.
Okay, I know Ashley. So I would maybe just recommend to Ashley, and maybe in the managers meeting that may have already occurred or something. Mm-hmm. We really need to stress that with these some guys, they think this is make or break. This is their
they think they're NBA players.
Shot
yeah,
at fame. So yes. I would strongly recommend that we ask her to reinforce that.
So they actually have to sign a COVID paper that I printed up with the rules and regulations and what's expected from the teams and from their captains.
Okay.
So right. That is part of their flyer and part of the paperwork that I handed to Ashley today that each captain is responsible for and has to sign as well.
Okay. So you're comfortable that message is getting out to getting out strong and loud and clear that, listen, if you're not well, you shouldn't be there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Thank you.
So other than that, I mean, all programs are going well. Everyone's following the guidelines. Everyone's wearing their masks. Everyone's being safe. I did go to one of the basketball games, and we only had one parent that didn't have a mask on. I went up to them, asked them very kindly, do you have a mask? You think you can get one? No issues. Left the gym, went out to the car, came back with the mask on. Everyone else has been wearing them. It's been very safe. So hopefully that just continues, and we can have a good steady season, and everyone just continues to participate and follow the guidelines and help one each other out. I mean, it's a team sport, and the parents, everyone that's involved really has to kind of communicate and stick together and follow these rules to make these things happen. And so far, everyone are being team players, and hopefully it just continues so we can finish out the seasons.
Okay. Any questions for Tanya? Anything on director's report or any activities that she's discussed at this point?
Quick question on basketball. Is it entirely up to you and the recreation board to decide whether or not basketball goes forward, or at some point does either the Gilbert school or the school superintendent say, hey, we've reached mid-January here. This thing is hasn't peaked yet. We want you out of the building. So can they stop it?
They could, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, they would have the final say. Josh could have the final say, and then it would come down to us last.
Okay. Any other questions for Tanya? Okay, so moving on, we didn't have any items specifically, but does anybody want to chat about anything anything on old business? And I know that we didn't have any new business items. So
before we go on, Kurt.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to talk about one thing quick before we go on.
Okay.
I'm going to be starting to work on the budget. So if anyone wants to see anything specifically in the budget, please send me an email. If you guys want to see what I'm proposing as well, just let me know. I can send it over to you. One major thing is we're trying to reamp is the position for the maintainer to get someone in there full time. That's going to work for us in Public Works. So that's the big thing that we're going to try to switch this year. If it does go forward, we would get a full-time employee about 70% of the year, and then they would go work for Public Works. Other than that, our budget seems to relatively stay the same price. Minimum wage is going up, so we're going to obviously have the increase more than 2% because minimum wage is going up to $14. So that's going to apply to all of our lifeguards, all of our summer camp, and all of our staff basically has to go up in price because of the state increase. So our budget is going to be increased by a significant amount just due to that alone. Never mind the influx of prices for everything that else is going on right now. So I'm going to try my best to keep it the same, but with prices and everything else and minimum wage, it's going to be extremely difficult. And the Board of Selectmen will definitely see a huge increase because of minimum wage and pricing.
Which shouldn't be a surprise.
No,
it shouldn't be a surprise. So one of the things I would ask that, and I'm sure maybe you're already getting input, is if there is any equipment replacement that is being proposed or needs to happen, at least it should be discussed and presented in the budget. It can always get taken out, And I don't know if that's been forthcoming to you or not.
Me and Jim have been in contact with each other, but one of the big things from you guys is what we want to propose in our capital improvement, what we're looking to do and what we want to propose as a board. I kind of lean off of you guys of what we want to do as a board for capital improvements to put into play. So last year we put 3 things in. We did get the dugouts, one dugout. So, I mean, I probably have to have everything in before the next board meeting. So we kind of need to decide, or if someone has something specifically that they want to see put in, please send me an email so I can get that into our capital improvements that we would like to see from the rec
Right, and I
department.
think, and if Josh wants to meet with you and I, or we probably can't now because of COVID.
No,
but
it's
at
by
least-
appointment only. We could.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's well worth the one-on-one. You just say, hey, listen here, once again, here's our project plan. Here are some things that we have identified as critical. They're above and beyond what our, maybe some of our normal budgeting processes are. Can we put it in as part of capital, or is it truly going to be expensed or whatever? We took 2 years to get 2 tries to get the dollars for the dugout. And, so sometimes you just, like I said, you got to keep knocking at the door. So,
No, absolutely. If you can send me a couple of dates that you're available,
Yep.
I can set up an appointment for the 3 of us. Town hall is closed to the public, but can be by appointment only.
Sure. Okay.
So we can make
Good.
something work for sure.
And I think it's valid. Once again, any recreation board members more than willing. If you have some ideas or some things that you think, hey, this would be great, please take a look at that project list that we've put forth. It's not all encompassing, but there are a lot of things that we have put in there over the last 8 to 10 years in regard to things that we need. And when you look at what we've accomplished, what we've completed, you'd be surprised. So please look at that. And because once again, we are going to discuss that and review it in some detail in our February meeting.
Kurt,
Okay.
do we send those ideas to Tanya, to you and Tanya, to the whole board? What's the procedure on that?
For the capital improvements,
Yeah.
you can send them to the whole board, or just me.
Okay.
And then if it's something that I take into consideration, I'll share it with everyone. I know one of the big things is we're going to be asking for the second dugout, because we need the other one done. So 30,000 will probably be allocated as one of the projects. So we're probably looking to do put 2 more projects on there just to see what we get.
Right. Good.
Thank you.
All right. Good. All right. So does anybody have any items that they want to chat about on their whole business? Okay. I don't think that when we went for agenda review, there was nothing to put forth under new business. So kind of just want to go around the table here. So Joe, do you have any other things that you want to chat about?
No, sorry to hear some folks have had COVID there. I hope they're feeling better, and we all continue to stay healthy as we move forward, and this variant disappears quickly. Let's hope.
I hope so also. Tanya, anything on your end? Closing comments?
No, I'll sit here. So I just
Okay, good.
look forward to your guys' ideas and what you guys want to bring to the table for the budget.
Okay, good. Kim Huber, how are you?
No, I'm
You've been
fine.
quiet tonight. Any words of wisdom? Anything you want to impart to us?
It's bedtime, Kurt.
Okay. All right. Everyone's healthy in the household?
Knock on wood.
All right, good.
We've already
good.
had it. We had it last year, so.
Made it into another year. Great.
Yep.
All right. Shane, how about you? Any commentary, any questions? Or once again, it's your first meeting, and it's a Zoom meeting, which is kind of awkward, but it's the best we can do under circumstances. Anything else you want to share with us? Questions, comments?
No, nothing. The first meeting has been a lot of information to take in.
Yeah. And right. And a lot of times I throw too much out there in one meeting, but since we only meet once a month, I try to get out there as much as possible to get things moving. Jonathan, if you're still on, any questions, comments, insights?
No, this was a very informative meeting. It was an honor to attend, and I look forward to attending future meetings.
Okay, good. And appreciate you, attending these meetings. Once again, appreciate it very much. Brian, any closing comments from you?
No, sir. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks. And Diane?
No, I'm all set.
You're good. All right.
We're good.
And Tim McGrain, how are you doing tonight? Any closing comments?
No, I'm good. I just, Tanya, could you forward that proposal to me just to have a copy to look at?
Which one?
The one that you and Kurt are going, the one you were just talking about.
The capital improvements?
Yeah.
Your budget proposal.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you want to see, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll send you a rough draft. It's not done yet, but I'll send you what I have so far.
Yeah, I would just send it out. I would just send it out to all board members. Good point, Tim.
Yeah,
If
that
you
way.
would, Tanya, just send it out to all board members. It's a working
Yeah.
copy.
Yep.
Yeah. Please.
Good. And Jamie, anything from your end at this point?
No, I'm all set. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, good. So I think I'm good on my end. So I would entertain a motion for adjournment at this point from any board member.
I'll make a
Joe
motion.
makes the motion. Joe makes a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
I
is
second
there a
it.
second on Joe's motion to adjourn?
That's past my bedtime.
Was
Yeah,
there a second by
second.
somebody?
I second it.
Oh, okay, whoever that was, thank you.
It's
We're all in
Jamie.
favor. I know that much. So once again, I would just ask if anyone has any specific agenda items they would like on the next meeting, please, send me a note. Usually a week in advance, I'll send a note out to everybody just saying, hey, I'm getting ready to put the agenda together. If you have anything, just as a reminder. But if you do definitely want something on the agenda, just let me know, at least, 4 or 5 days in advance of the meeting. I usually like to get the agenda out 3 to 4 days before the meeting accordingly. So other than that, we will follow up. Hopefully, more than likely, end up probably having a Zoom meeting for February. It sounds like that. I will. We have Shane's email address all set there, Jamie. If you could share that with me.
Yep, I
send me
have
a quick note on that. And then I can send Shane out some other information that he may need. And then other than that, I appreciate everybody attending tonight's meeting. I know it went a little bit longer than normal, but I think we're moving in some good directions here and look forward to hopefully meeting with everybody live and in person over the next couple months, maybe not in a meeting, but at some other functions. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your
Have a
night.
good night.
Good night.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.